scheduled.
Shocker. It's Biden versus Trump in 2024 officially.
No
The
way.
breakdown starts now. Good evening and welcome to the breakdown. I'm Tara Setmayer. The Rook Wilson is back and healthy once again with us in the land of the living. Glad to see you're refreshed and ready to go, my friend.
I was on my ass last week.
I know.
Damn.
I felt so bad. I hadn't seen you that sick in a long time, so I'm glad.
It's been a minute. Yeah, I mean, I Wednesday night while I jog fast, and we're doing our show in New York.
Right.
And I was like, about halfway through, I was just like, man, my energy level is dropping off. I don't know why. I'm juiced to the gills on caffeine. By the time I got to my hotel room, I was like, oh fuck, I have a fever. I'm dying.
But
it's not
COVID, right?
I immediately got a test. I was like, it's fucking
right.
COVID.
Yeah.
Not COVID. Next day, not COVID. Just the flu. Just the spring crud. But I'm up and about and scourging the unworthy and unfaithful and back doing the work.
Well, we're glad you're back because we need you in this fight. Because officially, as of this week, as we have been predicting for, I don't know, a year and a half now, it is officially Trump versus Biden in the 2024 election. No big drama. It's official, I guess, when the nominating contest happened in the summer, but both of them clinched their delegates, the amount of delegates they need to win their party's nomination. It happened on Tuesday, and Georgia was one of the places that did it. And we've got a lot to talk about because it feels like it's been a freaking month since the last show, which was the State of the Union night. And I was all hyped up and like fired up, ready to go after Joe Biden brought out Dark Brandon times 10 and just kicked ass up and down the House chamber with the State of the Union. So Reed and I did the post State of the Union show without you. But we were really giddy about that. And a lot has happened since then. And I saw some polls that said that, Biden didn't really get a post State of the Union bump or whatever. I don't know. But I disagree with that because the news coverage changed. The news cycle about Joe Biden being feeble and, his mental acuity and all that, like that was blown off the front pages finally. And we saw, and some of the ridicule that we saw with the Republicans' response, that Katie Britt, that weirdo, creepy.
I mean, I'm sorry. Listen, I get that Katie Britt was really trying to make her bones in some weird way and trying to become like a new MAGA star and all this stuff. But my overwhelming sensation watching that video, and I wasn't feeling great. My overwhelming sensation watching that video was she is at the local dinner theater school of bad acting.
Worse.
And that's in a bad local dinner theater.
Yeah.
This is like so dramatic. I can't believe the migrants are coming. I can't even do it justice for what Scarlett Johansson did on SNL.
Well, fantastic job.
You know what? Every 5 years, SNL like suddenly reminds you like why they still deserve another year. You know?
I don't know if it's every 5 years, but they come out with some good stuff every once in a while. Where you go, like the Sean Spicer, Melissa McCarthy parody with him scooting down the road.
Probably one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my damn life.
It's classic. So another one we can add Scarlett Johansson's parody of Katie Britt to that absolute brilliance there, along with so many of the other ones of Giuliani and all they're just amazing. But anyway, so there was that kind of like hellscape parody of a nightmare weirdo thing that you would see on Tubi. And there was that. And we also had Trump kind of losing his shit over the Oscars. The Oscars were on Sunday. I know, shocker. He always bitches and complains about everything is rigged against him, blah, blah, blah. Well, he got upset because of some comments that were made at the Oscars and decided in real time to Truth Social out a thing about Jimmy Kimmel and all this. It was crazy. He called him like a loser and all this and going on and on about the stupid Oscars. And Kimmel went on live on air and actually read
Which I thought was, you know what? It's funny because a lot of people were saying after, he shouldn't have done that. Why did he engage with him? But that's what you have to do with these people. You must punch them in the damn face. You cannot let them get away with stuff. You cannot let them lurch around in the room and pretend that they're the normal ones and that the whole thing is just. I found it very refreshing how he did it too.
Well, Jimmy Kimmel is so good at this, and he was met with resistance. He was told, reportedly, not to do it, not to be on air, and he told them all, I'm doing it anyway. And here's the clip of that from the Oscars on Sunday night.
Doing this show is not about me, and I appreciate you having me. It's really about you and Emma and all these great actors and actresses and filmmakers. But I was told we have an extra minute, and I'm really proud of something. I was wondering if I could share it with you. I just got a review, and has there ever been a worse host than Jimmy Kimmel at the Oscars? His opening was that of a less than average person trying too hard to be something which he is not and never can be. Get rid of Kimmel and perhaps replace him with another washed up but cheap ABC talent, George Slopanopoulos. He would make everybody on stage look bigger, stronger, and more glamorous. Blah, blah, blah. Make America great again. Okay, now. See if you can guess which former president just posted that on Truth. Anyone? No? Well, thank you, President Trump. Thank you for watching. I'm surprised you're still. Isn't it past your jail time? Focused on the important stuff for sure.
That's how you do it. That was the line of the night. And we all know, as we do here, that ridicule, audience of one type stuff drives Trump crazy. So look, he can dish it, but he can't take it.
Walls after he saw Kimmel do that. Because one of the things Trump depends on is people saying, oh my God, he's outrageous. It's horrible. I can't believe he's doing that. And not putting the sting in the back of it and critiquing him directly. And he thrives on making people upset. He thrives on making people, feel like the world is shaky and weird around them and that they don't have control and that he's this immovable, irresistible force of nature that they have to just bow down to. We don't.
No. And no one.
In fact, a lot of people have been stepping up lately, and I think it's been very helpful for the country.
Yes, because that's what it's going to take, because Republicans have never stepped up to him. Elected Republicans. I mean, there's more and more. There seems to be a growing pool of Republicans who are looking to say enough is enough. And we're hoping to help marshal all of those efforts to do this because it's going to take us all. But the elected Republicans still aren't doing it. And a perfect example, back to the State of the Union. I mean, you had Joe Biden brilliantly opening up, referring to Ronald Reagan, okay, and foreign policy and the importance of protecting democracy, and Republicans sat on their hands. It was insane. These people they've lost it. Decency, honor, the things that foreign policy, stopping at the water's edge, things that used to bond all of us together, bipartisan stuff that made us Americans, that stuff, Republicans, no more. So I wanted to show.
That party is gone. That party is gone.
It is.
It is gone.
It's dead and gone. It's we have a little ad preview about that later on in the show. Hey, so wait for it.
By the way, this ad preview only here on YouTube on the breakdown. It's not going to be released for a couple of days. Only you guys are getting to see it tonight.
Yes, so stay tuned for that.
Stay tuned.
I want to show a little bit of a recap that we did about Biden's State of the Union address last week, because I think it's important to remind people that this is what a president is supposed to do.
Right.
The issue facing our nation isn't how old we are. It's how old are our ideas. Hate, anger, revenge, retribution are the oldest of ideas. But you can't lead America with ancient ideas. You need a vision for the future and what can and should be done. I see a future where defending democracy, we don't diminish it. I see a future where we restore the right to choose and protect our freedoms, not take them away. I see a future where the middle class finally has a fair shot. I see a future where we save the planet from the climate crisis and our country from gun violence. I see a future for all Americans because I believe in you, the American people. When America gets knocked down, we get back up. We keep going. There is nothing beyond our capacity when we act together.
That's how a president's supposed to behave, right?
Correct.
Except that there are millions of Americans out here now who seem to love the fact that there is an absolute lunatic, petulant child running for president again, and they would like to see him back in office. And that would be Donald Trump. Over the weekend, Trump was very upset because obviously Biden's State of the Union speech was fantastic. It made Republicans look like jackasses. And so what did Trump do? He went after Biden for his stutter. Now, we all know that Donald Trump has a history of making fun of people with disabilities and making fun of all kinds of people, and because he's a tasteless piece of shit. But the going after Biden's stutter
How
thing.
do you really feel, Tara?
Well, I mean, do I ever not? But going after Biden's stutter is something that is particularly jarring because it's so personal, and Trump knows that this is something that Biden has worked on.
Sure.
And there are millions of people who suffer from this, especially younger kids that have to try to overcome stuttering, and you get made fun of, you get bullied for it. And Joe Biden has done a really great job of being a public speaker despite that ailment. And he's actually an advocate for young people who suffer from this to help them overcome it. And this is what Trump attacked him on, because of course he can't attack him on the substance. So this is what he did at one of his rallies over the weekend after the State of the Union.
Unbelievable.
I'm going to bring the country together. I'm going to bring it together.
You know, I mean, remember what he did with the New York Times reporter making fun of his disability. I mean, he's just such a immoral troglodyte that I can't understand why people want someone like that in office, as opposed to someone like this. This is Joe Biden in 2020.
What's your name?
Oh, this is my son, Braden.
Hey, Braden, how are you, man?
We're here because he stutters, and we wanted to hear you speak.
Oh, man, come on. I tell you what, don't let it define you. You are smart as hell. Now, you really are. You can do that. Can I get a phone number for you, and I can tell you what I used to do and how I would do it? Can you take his phone? Because there's about 25 stutterers I continue to work with. And I can tell you the things that help me. I know, by the way, the hardest thing is talking on the telephone. So I don't expect you to be able to. But when I stuttered, I used to talk like this. And it took a lot of practice, but I promise you can do it. I promise you. And don't let it define you. You're handsome, you're smart, you're a good guy. I really mean it. Don't let it define you. And you know, when I say I know about bullies, you know about bullies. The kids who make fun, it's going to change, honey. I promise you.
Come on, America. What are we doing? What are we doing?
It's the simplest moral and political choice of your lifetime, people. That kid, and I remember talking to Michelle on the phone when we found that footage in 2020, and we were having a boo-hoo.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm emotional right now about it.
I know.
I hate bullies. I hate them with the fire of a million suns. I hate them so much because the cruelty and the casual abuse of their power is the only thing they have.
That's right.
And you saw something like that kid who that made his life.
Right.
That made that kid's life. It changed him.
Yep.
And what does Donald Trump do to anyone? He destroys them. He belittles them. He demeans them. He reduces them down to the lowest, most base, venal, vile level that he exists on 24 hours a day. Folks, you're asking yourself, Yeah, am I going to vote for Donald Trump again? I don't know. Well, guess what? That is what your kids will see and learn from and become. That is what your grandchildren and your children will see and learn from and become. And if you want a country where the strong belittle the weak, where the rich belittle the poor, where cruelty is the currency, you're not a conservative. That is just plain sadism. And Donald Trump's deeply cruel, sadistic nature, his deeply twisted, warped mental illness that drives all this, should never, ever be in public office. He should never be allowed to yield the levers of power, because he will apply it only to harm. That's it. Sorry, I get emotional about that kind of stuff.
No, I mean, it's
not a fan of bullies.
No, I mean, when Michelle posted that again right after Trump did this on Saturday, it went viral. Like 2 million people viewed that clip again, because I forgot about it actually until she posted it, and I'm like, that's right. And I got emotional again watching it, because he said that for all the reasons that you just enumerated. But then I also think about the evangelicals who continue to say that, Donald Trump was chosen by God. This is your candidate, Christians.
This is your guy.
This is your guy.
What exact part of the scriptures is making fun of kids with stutters?
Yeah,
what exact part of your scripture is? And the Lord said, "Let there be cruelty to everyone around you."
That's right. That's right. I mean, yes, God did use a jackass also as a messenger, but I guess I don't know. They don't like that part of it.
Yeah, I missed. I'm only an amateur divinity student. I missed that part, having read the Bible cover to cover several times and the Apocrypha. I missed that part where the Lord said, "Be cruel to the lame and the halt." I missed that part.
Yeah. I just thought it's important, because now that we are officially in the full swing of the general election, it's important for people to constantly be reminded of the contrast.
Playtime's over.
It's over. There was an op-ed, I forgot who wrote it, in the New York Times not that long ago, week and a half ago, about America's amnesia and about the Donald Trump years. And I know that we are going to make sure we constantly remind people of what those 4 years were like, because now's not the time to have a selective short-term memory. It is way too consequential. I do not want to go back to that 4 years ago, where we had to deal with that, the sadism and the cruelty and the lying and the conspiracy theory and the sick fetish of wanting to be a dictator. I don't want to go back to that. So I think the American people, looking, because your eggs are a little more expensive than they were 4 years ago, you know what?
Right.
I'm sorry, but that's the ebb and flow of the way economics work. Get over it. It's either that or a guy that makes fun of people, that screws around on his wife, that is a grifter, that is a corrupt, dictator-loving wannabe sicko who wants to mow down protesters and murder people like Vladimir Putin and get off on it. I just don't understand. People have got to understand the contrast, which is why we will constantly do that, because we're not making any of this up. This is the same. Right. This is the same guy this week that also said he wants to, on day one, free the January 6th hostages. Yep. Don't take my word for it.
And just to remind everyone in the universe, they are not hostages. They are terrorists.
Correct. That are convicted felons serving their just time to overthrow our government on January 6th. But these are the people that Donald Trump thinks are worthy of being freed, because he calls them patriots. They are not patriots. They're traitors.
They're traitors and terrorists. Thank you very much.
And the fact that Donald Trump is in league with them and has sympathy for them tells you everything you need to know about him. Again.
Everything.
Honestly, people, wake up. Now, Jon Stewart, who I'm glad to see is back once a week on the Daily Show,
right,
did a great compilation. It's like 9 minutes, 12, 14 minutes long, I think, but we're not going to show all of that, obviously. But there was a portion of his monologue on Monday that I thought was really important, because Rick, you and I have been saying this. We've been saying this for years at the Lincoln Project, not to allow MAGA to co-opt the idea of patriots and patriotism. That's why I decided to wear my American flag hat tonight, actually. because I think people need to stop this. This is not what MAGA is doing is not patriotism. They hate America. They hate democracy. They hate what makes this country great. And we need to call them out for it. They're not patriots. Take a look at what Jon Stewart did. This is brilliant.
So good. So good.
Ignoring the Bill of Rights, tearing up the Constitution, pining for a brief stint as a dictator. Well, that settles it. When the good, patriotic, Constitution-loving, real Americans hear Trump's disrespect and disdain for our sacred constitutional principles, they will be outraged.
I'd rather have Donald Trump as a dictator for 4 years. Absolutely.
This country needs a dictator. I hate to say that, but it's the truth.
He could stand on the front steps of the White House and commit murder, and I'm with him.
If he says it, then I'll go with it. And if he wants to be a dictator, then so be it.
This is it. The Thomas Nast cartoon. Patriots festooned in American flags, co-signing dictatorship. Remember We the People? You know there's more words after that, right? Smaller font, still binding. Look, if you want to love Trump, love him. Go to the rallies, buy the sneakers. You want to give him absolute power? You want him to be the leader uber alles? You want him to have the right of kings? You do you. But stop framing it as patriotism. Because the one thing you cannot say is that Donald Trump is following the tradition of the founders. He is advocating for complete and total presidential immunity. His words, not mine. That is monarchy shit. And it's your right to support it. But just do me a favor for historical accuracy. Next time you want to dress up at the rallies, wear the right colored coats. That's what you are.
Yeah.
You know what? This is when I watch those people speaking, and
it's outrageous.
I know I get lectured for being an elitist, which I am an elitist. I'm an elitist. Sorry, I am. But I also live in the world where when I see those people with that level of delusion,
oh, I know,
that level of insanity, that level of absolute no self-awareness, there's a concept in philosophy called a philosophical zombie, which is a person who looks like a person, seems like a person, acts like a person, but they don't have any internal mental processes to understand and interact with the world in a real way. That's what these people are. They're political zombies. They are dead. They're wandering. They're the walking dead of politics. They're wandering, trying to spread the virus of whatever the hell they have. But they're not like Americans anymore. They don't believe. I mean, we have never in our history, never had a mass movement with tens of millions, hundreds of millions of people who literally believe it's time to abandon the constitutional republic and representative democracy and replace it with a dictatorship. It's never been the case. Not in 240 years has that ever happened before.
Wow.
And the brokenness and the sickness of these people is repulsive. And I'm sorry, they make me reconsider the franchise.
Well, I mean, the civil.
You watch and get in trouble for that.
Yeah.
Listen, says MAGA voters shouldn't vote. No, I just don't want them to breed or vote. But that's just me.
Well, look, I always say that there's more of us than there are of them, but there are a lot of them, and we cannot underestimate how many there are of them. I think we had done that to our, at our own risk last time, to our own detriment in 2016. Obviously, 2020, we were victorious, but it was a squeaker. And the same thing could happen again this time, which is why we cannot take any of it for granted, because as repulsive as those people are, they vote. And so, and I would argue that the last time we saw a threat like this to our democracy was the Civil War, where you had an entire portion of the country decide to secede and, take up arms, brother against brother. And I don't like that we are heading toward that again, possibly, because these people believe this kind of bullshit, and they're believing also that they're called from God to do it. This is so dangerous and so scary and Trump knows it, and he's fomenting it. He's throwing fuel in the fire with that. He's not backing off on that. And I don't think that the media that's why I get frustrated with the mainstream media sometimes, because they don't cover this with the sense of urgency that they need to. they should be questioning every single elected Republican about these things that Donald Trump is saying and the things that he's doing at these rallies. They'll like fixate on one little thing, but it's like, guys, he's saying crazy stuff. Do you feel as though, like, every reporter should ask elected Republicans, do you feel as though January 6th insurrectionists are patriots that should deserve to be freed on day one? Are you okay with that agenda? Ask them, make them answer it.
You know what? You've got a group of reporters in the country who are determined to make this race about Donald Trump and Joe Biden being one being an old doddering man and one being slightly cuckoo.
Right. It's so much bigger.
The frame is different than that. Right. The frame is you've got one old man who owns it and is doing a great job, and you've got another old man who's one of his central campaign promises is to release a cadre of terrorists who attacked the United States Capitol on his orders to attempt to overthrow the United States government.
The end.
Staring into the abyss of madness. And a lot of reporters who love the drama of Trump, who love the big show. Oh, he calls me at 1 a.m. and
cares.
Guys, I promise you, as much as the clicks and the eyeballs and the ratings are fun right now, when they decide they're going to, by executive order, start imposing restrictions on journalism and reporting in the country,
which Trump has said he would do,
call me.
Yeah.
Call me then. Call me then, because he is going to go after everything and everyone, and anything you think you get out of this as a playing the both sides game. It is a both sides thing that is not, one conservative Republican who believes in low taxes and one liberal Democrat who doesn't.
Right.
It's the death of the American Republic.
Correct.
Or the continuation of the American Republic.
Yeah.
Pick one. Because that's all the choices. It's a binary choice.
That's it.
Like labels who are going to offer us up a guy they found behind a Greyhound station as their presidential candidate at some point. But, it's a binary choice, folks.
It is. And
I got in trouble, and Sarah and I got yelled at in 2021 because we said it's going to be Trump versus Biden.
Oh, I know. Right.
Right again.
I mean, how many times? How many times? Because we're not delusional. We see what's happening
exhausting.
in front of us. It is exhausting. And I always say that I would prefer. I don't want to be right. I don't want to be right, because being right means it's bad for the country. But when you know, I mean, it is what it is. But I wanted to show something, an ad that we did actually a while ago that speaks to this idea of taking back ownership of patriotism and the flag and what it means to be an American. And it's called Our Flag. And shout out to Michelle for pulling this out of the archives.
Absolutely.
The American flag today flies over a nation divided. A nation where hatred and violence makes a mockery of the sacrifices of generations. A nation where one party storms the Capitol in a violent attempt to overthrow a free and fair election. A nation where one party claims ownership of the flag and the very idea of patriotism. It's time to fight back, to take back the flag from those who dishonor it. The symbols of our republic, this bold experiment that has struggled and bled to bend the arc of history, don't belong to the Republican Party. They don't belong to Donald Trump or Fox News or violent terrorists. The flag belongs to every American. It's not their flag. It's not his flag. It's our flag.
Nice.
Shout out to Peter Coyote.
As always, the master.
Great.
The king.
Yes. Shifting gears a little bit to Capitol Hill this week, speaking of the flag and the way people behave under the auspices of that flag up there. There was a hearing on...
Can I just take one more second to say that Marjorie Taylor Greene, wearing her weird NASCAR white trash trailer park MAGA outfit, with a cap on the floor of the House.
Yes.
Folks, decorum and rules and sensibilities used to be considered a conservative value.
That's right.
And now it's just transgression and trashiness.
Yep. because it was a violation of the rules for those who don't know. And when I saw that, and somebody else, one of the other rather portly gentlemen that was wearing the Never Surrender T-shirt with his big old belly. Yeah, who the hell was that? Disgrace.
Some damn like MAGA.
Yeah, some MAGA hillbilly. But anyway, so yeah, as someone who worked in the Hill for 7 years and was very proud walking through those halls every single day, it just made my skin crawl watching them just dressed like clowns in the sacred chamber of our wonderful House of Representatives, the People's House. Yeah, no, they're the worst. They're the absolute worst. And they show us that every time. And unserious people. So speaking of unseriousness, there was a hearing this week. Not going to get into rehashing all of it, but the stupid Robert Hur special investigation that concluded that Biden didn't commit any crimes with the mishandling of documents, classified documents. It was a whole thing was stupid to begin with. But Eric Swalwell, this is the reason why I wanted to bring it up. It's because Eric Swalwell did something that I'm glad Democrats are starting to catch on and that they're doing this more. Taking every opportunity they can, the way Republicans do, when they have a national media audience to spew whatever nonsense they want. Well, Eric Swalwell is actually spewing facts. And he took the opportunity during the hearing to show a montage of Donald Trump's mental acuity and his cognitive decline, since that was the hallmark of that whole hearing was all about, because Robert Hur said that Biden couldn't remember and he was a frail old man. Yeah, okay. So Swalwell put this montage together of some of Trump's biggest transgressions speaking. And then Seth Meyers said, hold my beer.
Hold my beer.
This has been a great week of late night ridicule for Trump. I freaking love it. It has really been a great week, starting with Saturday Night Live on. So this is what Seth Meyers did. And, we've done this kind of before, like our Feeble ad, and we've done other things. But Seth Meyers, shout out to you guys. Here's his montage of Donald Trump.
So good. So good.
Now, to contrast how well their brains function, Democrats at yesterday's hearing aired not one, but two montages of Trump glitching at his rallies. And while they were effective, I got to say, I was a little irked. That's our thing, guys. We've been doing that for 9 years. Our researchers have spent so much time sifting through videotape of Trump's brain exploding, they're scarred for life. You cannot outdo us, Congress, when it comes to a Trump montage. So don't try, because we can always out-montage you. In fact, I'm going to prove it right now. Hopefully this won't be too long. You guys watch, and I'll keep myself occupied. Roll it, Alex.
They are weaponizing law enforcement for high-level election interference against Joe Biden's top and only political appointment, a guy named me. China has total respect for Donald Trump and for Donald Trump's very, very large brain. Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat 10,000 known or suspected gang members. The wheel is older than the wall. You know that? Every single car out there, even the really expensive ones, controlled by large donors, unelected regulators and regulators. Our hope is a word and world. Authority and authoritarian powers. Beating expectations in the House for the midterm and midterm year. They sacrifice every day for the furniture and future of their children. When they gaze upon Yosemite's towering sequoias. We did with Obama. We won an election that everyone said couldn't be won. They're going to change the name of Pennsylvania. You know how you spell us, right? You spell us, U.S. I just picked that up. I hope they now go and take a look at the oranges of the investigation, the beginnings. The Mueller report, I wish, covered the oranges, how it started.
So you don't remember saying you had one of the best memories?
I don't remember that. One of the great memories of all time. It's called, like, up here, ding, boom. This is me. I hear. Bing. If you have a windmill anywhere near your house, congratulations. They say the noise causes cancer. You told me that one, okay? Nikki Haley is in charge of security. Nancy Pelosi, or Nancy as I call her. We appreciate it very much, Tim Apple. Did you just see Maduro, Venezuela? Unbelievable. You have voter ID to buy a loaf of bread. People are flushing toilets 10 times, 15 times. Ding, 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 ding. Shin, boom. God bless the United States.
Oh, look, I drew an entirely new Trump courtroom sketch.
God bless him.
We're really going to try to compare him and Biden. You know, there are a couple of people out here who specialize in this, like, neurosis too, but like, yeah, neurocognitive stuff. And they're saying that there is a difference between, like, a physical difference between the stumbles that Biden makes speaking, coming from overcoming a speech impediment, and what Trump does and the way his brain is misfiring. One is actually a cognitive decline and the other one is not. So it's like, but nobody wants to talk about that. They just want to somehow make it, morally equivalent somehow. That moral relativism is just going to be the death of us.
Moral equivalency and both sidesism is going to kill this country.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It is.
And the people who are in a position to make a difference there need to stop it, because that's they know better and they're just doing it for ratings. But anywho, also on Capitol Hill this week, which I think is important because it speaks to, again, Trump's duplicitousness on things and his corruption, and everything is a grift. So the big news out of Washington this week is the TikTok ban. One of the first times we've actually seen a bipartisan bill pass the House. It's to basically say,
so seriously, Tara.
Yeah.
Other than a CR.
All right. Continuing resolution.
I can't think of a bipartisan bill in the last year that made it out of the House.
You're right. Maybe a couple
other
of post
than
offices.
CRs. I can't think of anything.
No, I know.
Maybe there was like a bridge bill or a post office bill or something, but
there hasn't been a major piece of legislation outside of a continuing resolution, which is what it's a funding bill that keeps the government open. But they agree that TikTok needs to be sold from out from under the Chinese ownership, because it's actually a national security risk, and that an American company needs to fully control it. I'm all for this, by the way. We do not have TikTok in our house. No device in our house has TikTok. My husband's a federal agent. He's not allowed. We can't even have it in the house because it's such a national security risk. And a lot of state governments have banned it from official phones, and government agencies have. It's bad. I know everybody likes to do their little stupid TikTok dances and all that. People are making lots of money on TikTok. But it's also, all that information is being mined and sent to the Chinese government. Okay? That's bad. It's very bad. The Chinese knew exactly what they were doing here with this.
100%.
So, with that said, I remember, I don't know, do you remember, Rick, when Donald Trump was all about threatening TikTok and ByteDance?
Yes, I do, Tara.
Right?
I have to recall that
we got to stop it. Can't be the communist Chinese.
China runs the TikTok and we have to get rid of it.
Right.
It's very bad.
Right. He was actually right about that. But guess what? He's all about TikTok now. Why the reversal? Do you know, Rick Wilson?
Because a major Republican donor named Jeff Yass, Y-A-S-S, Yass Queen, who is a major investor in ByteDance, the TikTok parent company,
owns 15%
down to Mar-a-Lago. And like anything, if you wave a dollar bill in front of Donald Trump, he will bow, scrape, and do whatever you need him to do. So I think there's a word for that. It's what is that? Oh, it's whore.
Right. Yes.
Because that's exactly what you have here with Trump. He's a guy who has there's zero moral weight in his mind, as long as they're nice to me, they like me very much, and they're giving him money. Literally, if I'm tempted to get a guy to dress up in a full kafia and go in and say, Mr. Trump, I am from Al Qaeda. We would like you to take $1 billion and endorse Osama bin Laden's ghost as your VP or whatever. And he'd think about it. That's the problem. Trump would actually think about it. He'd actually go, well, I don't know. Many people say bin Laden was very, very powerful at clearing property in New York.
Yeah. It's not that far off. He wanted to bring.
I'm sorry, folks. My Donald Trump accent has never been good enough. I apologize.
No, but it's funny because it's so bad, so that's okay. It's okay. No, but Donald Trump wanted to bring the Taliban to Camp David on 9/11 to negotiate. Remember?
Yeah.
Okay, like
yes.
So you're not that fucking far off with this at all. But there's more to this TikTok story. Yes, Jeff Gass, who is a big Trump supporter, he's a billionaire. He owns 15% of ByteDance, which equals about $40 billion.
Right.
Because of how valuable TikTok is internationally, globally. Also, there was a report this week that, Trump is thinking about making Jeff Gass Secretary of the Treasury.
Because of course he is.
Because of course he is. Then here's the real kicker, and this is the real reason. Guess who lobbies for TikTok?
Kelly Scam Conway?
Well, ding, 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 ding. You're a winner. Kellyanne Conway is being paid lots of money to lobby for TikTok. And she is quoted in a story in the Washington Post telling Trump, well, a lot of your supporters are on TikTok now. So, it's good for you. It's good for the election. And you have one of Jason Miller's buddies, Tony Saig, who I also went to college with. We all went to GW together. I remember them in college. He's also a lobbyist for, no. He is the comms director for Jeff Gass's PR company or something. They're all tied in together. And David Urban, for those people who watch CNN.
Oh, God.
David Urban, who's like the bald-headed guy, Trump supporter, who's on panels in the primetime hours. Yeah, he's also a registered lobbyist for TikTok. So all of these people in the Trump world have been influencing him. This is why people hate lobbyists, to be supportive of TikTok.
Yeah, this is why people hate lobbyists.
Yes. Has nothing to do with all of that stuff about national security and how bad China is. They go after Biden for this, right? They're trying to impeach Joe Biden over allegedly financial benefit with China, which is all a lie and bullshit.
It's all projection.
Of course. Meanwhile, look at what's happening here. Where are the major stories about this? That story about Trump's reversal on this was buried in like page 827. Why is that front page news?
Right. Whereas I'm sure the same day the story was unnamed Democrat questions Biden's age for the 17th time.
Exactly. So, there are so many stories that point to the character corruption and just overall, just he's unfit for office, and we know this. That people don't hear this over and over again. They don't. They hear that Joe Biden is old. So when you see polls, they say, "Yeah, Joe Biden's too old. We're concerned about his age." Well, why do you? Of course you are, because it's all you're being told constantly over and over and over and over and over again.
Well, you hear it 500 times a day, and the weird part of this still to me, it still comes back to the strangest part of this whole thing is that Trump's cognitive impairments and mental illnesses are frankly much more obvious than any frailty from Joe Biden.
100%.
And it gets 1/10 of the coverage.
Yeah, there's a perfect example. Michelle put up the graphic of it's the stories quoting special counsel Hur saying, quote, a well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory for over a month in a month's coverage. Look at all that. It's ridiculous. How many times have we heard about Trump's corruption or Trump slurring his words or any of that kind of? We don't. It's a blurb here or there, but not over and over again. So do better, media.
And
do better.
the problem is in a lot of the mainstream media coverage, you end up with they'll say, well, we covered that.
Right.
But they didn't. They gave it like a
passing reference
on a story like, it'll be like paragraph 27, where Trump said something crazy, and they'll say, and Trump misapplied the name of his former, UN ambassador Nikki Haley.
Right.
That's not how it works, folks. But okay.
Right. But okay. Speaking of Nikki Haley, like I said earlier tonight, the Georgia primary results showed some weakness for Trump. She was on the ballot, but she's out of a race now. And what was it? Almost 14% of Republican primary voters in Georgia.
She beat him in Fulton County.
Right. That's Atlanta.
If you're Chris LaCivita tonight, you're going, shit, we got to spend money in Georgia.
Yep, because that's the area of Georgia that helped put Joe Biden over in 2020.
Yep, it sure is.
So it was only by a margin of 11,000 How many votes did Trump need?
11,500 or 800 and something.
Right.
I
So
just need 11,942 votes.
yeah.
And I need a hamburger from Junior's.
No, McDonald's, because he doesn't eat anywhere else.
He wouldn't go to Junior's.
No, he doesn't trust.
He wouldn't go to Varsity.
No,
that's because he's a Mac man.
Right. Ugh. But it also shows the Biden campaign is finally starting to ramp it up a little bit, and they see where these weaknesses are. And Biden is in Michigan today, which he needs to. That's a really important state. I just saw a poll that showed Trump up a little bit, but that's really important. I ultimately think he'll get Michigan, but he needs to be there a lot. Kamala Harris went to an abortion clinic today, the highest ranking American official to ever do that. They see that these are important issues because they're popular. Women in particular are feeling some kind of way in 2024 that their rights are being taken from them. And anyone who thinks that women are being hysterical about the IVF decision or about Dobbs and worrying about contraception and those types of things coming next. Oh yeah? Out in Arizona, some idiot elected official out there went back to the put an aspirin between your knees comments from the back in the day. Aspirin between the knees as birth control. Is this GOP leader dumb or merely insulting? Probably both.
Listen, I think the Venn diagram can overlap. I mean, they're dumb and insulting.
Right. That's right. But
I was giving a speech yesterday, though, and I was talking to a group down in Sarasota yesterday, and the idea of watching, and there were actually a lot of former Republicans and soft Republicans in the audience, and the idea that birth control is next shocked them, and yet the minute they took a beat to think about it,
it's next.
It was like, oh shit.
Yes, it's the same thing. They lack imagination, right? That's the same thing that happened in 2016. People couldn't imagine it could be that bad, but you look at all of the things. Just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, it did. Right. And they're telling us what they want to do. Was it Missouri where you can't get divorced if you're pregnant now? I mean,
you little ladies, you don't really need a checkbook, do you? Just get a little pocket change from your hubby before you leave for work.
Right. Get it out of the special drawer in the kitchen where you belong. Unbelievable. We cannot end the show tonight without, two things. First of all, we've got to talk about No Labels quickly, because freaking No Labels is still out here with their BS that they want to field a unity ticket because now it's Biden and Trump, and now so many people don't want Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Yeah, okay. That was before it was a reality. Number one. Number two, now that it's a reality, it's a binary choice. How many times do we have to remind people that a third party run is going to
a Donald Trump
win? Exactly. This is like never happening. We cannot throw political temper tantrums. Here's Joe Lieberman today on CNN talking about what No Labels plans to do.
Other, we've done it mostly through Congress with some success, but our members felt that we were never going to succeed if it ended up being Trump and Biden again. And now Super Tuesday has come and gone, and it is. So we're ready. Tonight, we're going to announce in an email that I will send out, accompanied by a video narrated by Mike Rawlings, who's the chairman of our grassroots convention. Mike is a former mayor of Dallas and CEO of Pizza Hut, which will describe what we call our Country Over Party Committee, which is a kind of nominating committee. And we're now going to go to work. We've been working on it, but it's decision time to try to find the best bipartisan unity ticket we can give the American people as the third choice they say they want overwhelmingly, because they don't want to have to choose again between Trump and Biden. So we're not going to announce candidates tonight, but we do announce that we're going to announce candidates this spring, and that could be as early as, the calendar of nature, March 21st.
Sure.
Rick, just go. Just go.
We have told you for well over a year now that No Labels is a pro-Trump super PAC. It is funded by Republicans. It is run at the operational level, by the staff level, by Republicans. They are using Republican attorney generals to threaten people. They are going out into the country right now and running something that they know is only weirdly going into blue states where the votes are going to harm Joe Biden. They're not trying to get on the ballot in red states where it could hurt Donald Trump. I wonder why. Nancy Jacobson and Mark Penn are bitter, psychotic people who are so angry that they got fired by the Clintons in 2016. They're so bitter and angry about it that they've transformed what was once a sort of do-gooder group into a political suicide bomber going after Joe Biden. They're so mad at the Clintons, they're so mad at the Obamas, they're so mad at the Bidens that they will do anything to destroy them. Don't let them play any of these games of, oh, Americans want a centrist third party can't. They cannot win.
Nope.
They can only spoil. There is no way right now, as of today, they're going to get on enough ballots in this country to win 270 electoral college votes, which is the only way you get to be president.
Correct.
There's no way that they can broker their votes if they win delegates in states, which they won't, by the way. There's no way they can broker their votes or go to a contingent election or throw the election to the House. And if they did put the election in the House, it's the current House, not the next House. So they're asking you, at the best case scenario, to let Mike Johnson decide who the president is. These people are the most mendacious, dangerous, low, scummy, weird, repulsive group of political terrorists I think I've ever seen in my career, Tara. And they've threatened the Lincoln Project, Third Way, American Bridge, every other group that stands against them. They're doing complaints to U.S. attorneys or to the DOJ and to state attorneys general. But weirdly, only in Republican states.
Right.
What a shocker!
These
people are absolutely dead set on electing Donald Trump. I don't care what Joe Biden I don't care what Joe Lieberman or Nancy Jacobson or Ryan Clancy or any of these people say. This is a pro-Trump super PAC, and that is the bottom line, folks. When someone brings up no labels to you, you need to stomp it out. This is not an argument about centrism or moderation, because these people are going to lead us off a cliff, and the cliff is lined with jagged glass, and at the bottom is Donald Trump.
Yep, and the end of our democracy, and that's the bottom line.
Oh, just that, yeah.
Just that. There is no gray area here. There is no protest vote this year. There is no, oh, they're both bad. Okay, no, they're not. And no labels is not the answer. So on that note, we have an ad that we're going to preview for you guys tonight that we want you to see that speaks to this idea that the Republican Party.
This isn't going up anywhere else until a couple days from now.
The first look.
You guys we're going to try to start doing this with you guys, giving you some really exclusive previews.
Yes, this is your first look of a hot off the presses and
this came out of edit about an hour ago.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yes. So check it out. It's called The GOP is Dead.
It's not our party anymore. The Republican Party that made America safer, stronger. The party that put our security and American values first. A party born to expand liberty. A party of real free markets and economic growth that starts on Main Street, not rigged giveaways and special favors. Led by men and women of honor and courage, service and sacrifice. Leaders who never talk America down. That party is dead. We know why. We know who killed it. We're conservatives, not crazies. We believe in responsibility and accountability, and following the Constitution and the law, even when we don't like the results. We don't have to agree with Joe Biden on every policy issue. We won't. And when we don't, we'll say so. But so much is at stake in this election that it's time to put country over party and America over Trump.
It's America or Trump, folks. That is it. All right.
That's the only choice out there.
That's right. And that is it for us tonight. Thank you guys for hanging with us and coming back and supporting everything we do. We will see you guys next Thursday. And until then, keep fighting for freedom and having fun. We'll see you next Thursday.
Thanks, guys.
Right now, The American dream has turned into a nightmare.
Communist China produces the majority of the world's garlic.
We all heard Crooked Joe's angry, dark, hate-filled rant.
Something about Snickers bars and bags of chips.
I'm just watching. Remember, I'm going to bring the country together.
This place has just evolved into this bickering and nonsense.
What about Jewish space lasers? Tell us about Jewish space.
No, why don't you go talk about Jewish space lasers?
My bill is called Build the Wall, Deport Them All.
I think we'd be far better off if we never passed another piece of legislation.
Our country can do better.
President Trump is a great athlete. When he was growing up, he was excelled in sport.
People remember how good things were when Donald Trump was president.
And the claims that MAGA is just a cult of personality are now and always have been fatuous.
Donald J. Trump, we will never surrender.
We have to raise a lot of money.
How big are Trump's coattails this year?
Well, his coattails are humongous.
Maybe there's reasons for things having happened, but they were not so happy with certain things, I guess, based on things that took place.
Nikki Haley, I'm just going to say this. She's probably menopausal. We don't need that.
This is what election night looks like on election night.
Transgenderism, homosexuality, any of that filth. And yes, I called it filth.
We stand with you.
Great job in your delivery.
Evidence no one has ever seen or even heard about, and it's going to be so explosive.
It is the worst year of the 9 years and 3 months that I've been in Congress.
Enough is enough.
Why don't you off? How about that?